is up, everybody? It's your boy Tino and the Southside boys. As we're here this week to continue and talk about this Chicago White Sox season. And guys, this past week I think might have been the best week of baseball that we've watched in a long time. So we faced the Pirates, swept them, nice and easy in Pittsburgh. We haven't had one of those, and it was actually our first sweep of the year. We were the last team to be able to sweep, and then we went into Tampa Bay and Steinbrenner Field and won 2 out of 3. So it's been a good week and everything. And Justin, you haven't been here in a couple weeks and everything. So how have you been? Have you been watching the games this past week? And what do you think about all these young guys showing up and showing out and giving us some life?
Been good. I actually watched every game, I think, between the Pirates and Rays series. So it's been exciting. It's really weird to actually have enjoyed watching a week of White Sox baseball. I don't know how long it will last. I'm not ready to turn the page on this or anything, but you take it when you have it, I guess. I don't know if we've ever had a show that we've done where they had a 5-in-1 week, and this is our third year doing this. So, if we have,
the worst time to start the channel, guys.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess, 23, they might have been able to put something like that together, but certainly not the past couple. So shit, I can't complain. It's been exciting. A little cheat code for Teal and Montgomery to get their first homers playing in a little ballpark like that. But they saw one go down, so that's huge. I mean, Montgomery homered 2 nights in a row, which I thought was sick. 2 different rallies last night. I mean, it was last night was one of the more fun games I can remember. Really, like I said, the last few years, just because when Cannon comes out, gives up 2 fucking homers in the first, and you're like, oh my god, here we go. It's already 4-0, and you're ready to just check out, and then they go and answer right away. We just haven't seen that, so very fun stuff.
And like you said, I mean, that's the biggest thing, especially last year. They get down 4-0 in the first set. Well, I'll turn it off. It's over. They can't do anything. And this year, I mean, it just seems like no matter what, even if they chip away, even the one game that they lost against Tampa, they went down 4-0 and they tried to chip away. They came close and they gave it their best shot in the ninth. And that's been the biggest thing for, what it was. But before we talk about the Tampa Bay series, let's talk about Pittsburgh, because they did outscore the Pirates 27-7. They just completely did everything right, I feel like, in every which way in that series. And, when me and Deech were talking last week, I really didn't know how it was going to go because, yes, the Pirates are not good, but we've seen the way the White Sox have played against the Pirates. And it was nice to actually see them go out and do something, especially after the All-Star break, because you don't know how teams are going to come out and play. And until Monday, White Sox were the best team in the second half, and I know it's 4-0, whatever, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to enjoy the best that I can for this week. So they went to Pittsburgh. They did exactly what they needed to do. They won all of them, and I think it's hysterical that the Pirates went out and they swept the Tigers. And did you guys see that was the first time that that's ever happened? The teams got swept by the worst team in one league, and they beat the best team in the same league. So that's an interesting stat for the Pirates, but. Yeah, is there anything else in Deech? If you want to say anything about the Pittsburgh series and how you felt about it and all of that, because
it was very exciting, but on the same token, I was kind of like, well, it's Pittsburgh. They're pretty bad as well. So it was nice to see them then progress into Tampa. The offense was hot. They won the first game, didn't they? They put up 7 runs or something like that. That made you feel good. They did. Colson homered and brought them within 1 in the second game in Tampa, and then obviously they came back twice last night. I liked too Jonathan Cannon. I mean, he did give up runs, but I think he had 9 strikeouts last night.
Oh, he was solid after that. He still went out and battled,
and that's what I feel like was missing in a lot of instances. You would have a lot of these guys like a Dylan Cease. If Dylan Cease got lit up in the first inning, the way he pitched was he would walk and take counts deep and take batters deep in counts where, I mean, he was only giving you 3 more innings after that. I do appreciate that. Even Savali has gotten lit up and they've been you're throwing 110 pitches regardless. It feels good that they're playing baseball the correct way for the most part. There's an occasional oh shit, whatever moment, but even defensively, it's a lot more enjoyable to watch. I mean, our excitement the previous years was like Yoel Moncada making a quick like pick play on the run and throwing someone out. I mean, I've told Justin Colson's arm is impressive. I mean, and now they're playing him at third. It'll be interesting to see where it goes moving forward. Obviously, with who slots where moving forward.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously, you get kind of lucky coming out of the break that they miss Skeens in Pittsburgh. The Pirates was a lot of Skeens starts, so that's not to say that the Sox couldn't have still swept them, but they wouldn't have had that massive. They wouldn't have dropped 10 runs a game, or whatever the average was, 9, and kind of just kicked their ass all weekend. So that's why the Pirates are able to turn around and beat Detroit on Monday. Because they can send their one good pitcher out on the mound. But yeah, it was encouraging, and you know what? It's beating. You always say that don't apologize for beating bad teams when you think about like 2021 and the division and all that. Just beat up on bad teams. Well, good teams are supposed to beat up on bad teams, so it's good to be a bad team beating up on other bad teams. So no need to apologize for sweeping the Pirates. And hopefully I'm starting to check the standings and see like, okay, who can we realistically pass record wise outside of Colorado? And sweeping the Pirates might go a long way to not being the second worst team in the big leagues. So it's a nice start. It's the scoreboard watching them in the Nationals at this point.
I mean, and a lot can change too, with especially depending on how teams go in the trade deadline too, coming up next week.
Sure.
A lot of teams sell and everything, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like with a lot of these guys with the White Sox, obviously, other than like an Adrian Hauser, a Mike Kaufman, or guys like that we're still gonna have. And like I said, watching these guys all play together and seeing how excited Kyle Teal was getting and excited, like, I don't know. I just love watching how excited these guys get over getting out of an inning or getting that out, or the play Josh Rojas made last night. Thank God for that. He's done one thing right. So.
Oh, they actually like playing baseball. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Aaron Savali, you mentioned him. He got his first win in the Sox uniform, so that's good. And like you said, just keep eating innings and everything. But the one guy I did want to talk about and everything else is Adrian Hauser is the one guy that I think we could get something for at the trade deadline and everything else like that. And people always need a chin, and everybody's been talking about it. I just want to get your guys' opinion and a team where you think that he could go. So, Justin, where do you think Hauser could be?
Oh, man, I don't know. I feel like starting pitching is one of those things that anybody who's serious about contending this year could use an extra arm. They could ship him across town after he has his a little trial on Friday night against them. Send him over there. They could use another starter. I mean, obviously they're not going to send him to Detroit, but I think of like a Toronto is sitting there in first place. I don't know how strong their rotation is. I'll be honest, I'm not too well studied on the market of buyers because the Sox are so far removed from being that. But Toronto could use him. I would think that Seattle and Houston probably feel pretty good about where they're at and with their starting rotations. Probably the strength of those teams. You look in the National League, the Mets could definitely use another arm. I think that what's his face is out for the year. Is Sean Manaea out for the year? One of their guys is done. Phil's got a pretty strong rotation, probably not there. So few options. He's the one that's I'm fine to trade. Whatever they get. They turned an absolute nothing scrap heap signing into, even if it's a flyer on a guy is fine.
Yeah. Justin,
I just think Getz has really burned all of his assets. I wouldn't really even call Luis Robert a full-blown. I mean, you're not gonna. I keep trying to temper my expectations. I see all this crazy shit where people are like, we need at least. It's like we don't really need anything. The most you're probably going to get for most of these guys is 1 or 2 flyers that are probably in single A or in the complex. But that's kind of what we got with Vargas and stuff. And the one, I mean, he's still in single A, but that Gerald Perez was part of that deal. I think he has 12 or 13 or home runs in single A, and his swing looks great according to the people who are more invested in prospects. So I guess you really never know if it's an international signing. Some of them just kind of come out of nowhere. So
Yeah, and that's the thing. It just seems like some of these guys are just like they hit or miss, and that's where it just to see where it goes, and especially with those because with Robert, like he's been playing so good since we came back from the All-Star break that it's just one of those things that I don't is that going to be enough time for them to be able to get a lot for him? Probably not. And
A
there's really
lot,
not too
no.
many like
He's become movable in general. He went from no one wants this guy hitting 190 to okay, well he's hitting below 210 still, but he's hitting the ball better. Obviously the word is out there that he's a change of scenery guy. Like that's what you're banking on with him is that you go. Yeah, well, I don't think that's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I don't know if that's going to last, but
it's just
yeah, get him in a lineup where. Well, I guess he bats lower in the Sox order, but he's hitting lower and he's surrounded by actually big league, by more competent hitters. He doesn't have no disrespect, but like Michael Taylor and Josh Rojas batting behind him, which I like Mike Taylor, but could
he's
be
just
beneficial.
a solid Major League Baseball player in every which way. Defense, speed, like he's smart.
Yeah, he's just not a great
like
hitter. He never has been. It's not even like they have him past some massive prime. It's just not his game.
And even with the center fielders, there's really not too many. Like you said, you don't really know who the buyers and sellers are and everything. And it also has to do with that extra wild card spot. Because even like the Guardians, they were having their little downfall, and then they kind of rose a little, and they've kind of got back into it where that extra wild card team can kind of, And I don't think the Guardians will catch up. But just an example, I mean, you never really know what's going to happen, and that's the one thing where it's like. They've even said like teams are gonna take like this next week to try and figure it out. How many is 7 games really gonna change a lot for you to figure out where you're gonna go? And with the center fielders, it's really only Robert and Mullins that I feel like are the two big guys that could be traded for the center field spot because there's really not too many. And then obviously like the other guys like Suarez from the Diamondbacks and a lot of the guys I feel like it's a lot of the guys we always see in the All-Star game that are getting traded. Like watching the All-Star game, they were talking about Suarez. They were talking about the freaking. They were talking about Clase. I saw something about Clase. If Clase could get out of the Guardians, that'd be fantastic.
the Cubs are talking to try and get him,
Not
which
bad.
would be that would be a great move for the Cubs.
Oh,
if they had Class A to the back end of their bullpen, depending on what they'd have to give up.
You bump everyone up an inning, and the back end of their bullpen's been really solid. I'd love to see him out of the division. I'm not really dying to see him play for the Cubs, but again, you can get him out of Cleveland. He's not the pitcher he was, though. He's not like automatic lockdown, but yeah, I mean, I know that they've checked in on Suarez too. I've heard, obviously, the talk out there is that it's a very much a seller's market, which makes sense to your point, Tina, because so many teams can think they're in it, and so these teams that are actually selling off assets. Like the D-backs, you've seen proposals of like them packaging Merrill Kelly and Suarez together. So then you're getting a third baseman who's going to finish the year with probably north of 50 homers and a starting pitcher who was starting games in the World Series, 2 years ago. That would be a lot to give. If I'm on the other side of town right now, I'm thinking, go all in with this team because that lineup's so explosive and you really feel like you have something. I don't know how many. That's the thing about the American League is I don't know if there's that many teams that I feel that way about. Like the Yankees are always in it. Houston's, just the traditional favorite. Detroit's probably the best AL team, but like beyond that, I don't know. There's no one I could look at in the AL and be like, oh, if they put together a package for Suarez and Kelly, all of a sudden they're like this massive contender. I guess it's not Nightingale, and he's always wrong, but he said that the Yankees and the Mariners are the two most aggressive going after him right now. Mariners could definitely use the bat.
Didn't they have Suarez though? Like
they did. Yeah.
I was like that. Like, doesn't that like I was like, I wonder how many teams have actually gotten. Obviously, it depends on the scenario, but like, it's crazy how many times I've seen it happen where guys go back to the team that they were already on, and it's like you got to give up a player when you already had them, and you mentioned the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks might have the best like players available to trade because they also got Mr. I don't like you, Josh Naylor still. So, He's another
Well,
one.
yeah, they were
Great
expecting
too.
to. They thought they were going to be a playoff team when the season started. They've had some injuries. Corbin Burns going down for the year is obviously going to hurt anybody's.
Shall be interesting. Well, next Thursday,
The
when we are on the show, do you guys think Luis Robert will be on the team?
when's the actual deadline?
It's what isn't it? Well,
It's August 1st now, not the 31st. So I mean, next week.
Oh, so it is. So is it Friday?
It's
yeah,
Friday
so
at noon, I
Never
think.
mind. I lied. Okay, never mind. So we'll get back.
The
to
interesting thing.
What?
The interesting thing about Robert, though, is if like across the board, when they flip Robert, if that's what takes place, if like across the board there's a consensus that the package we got in return is weak, then clearly the front office was just like, fuck Luis Robert. I don't really care anymore. We just don't want you here. And that's what I'm more interested to find. I mean, because even if you keep him, it's still quite a risk. You don't really know what he's going to do in the second half, and I feel like to trade him, you would have to pick up his option then, which is $20 million. So
if you can afford it, if it depending on what team he goes to. I mean, we do play the Phillies next week, so we could just have him go to the other locker room if they want. Send somebody else over. Shall be interesting though, but you're right. I don't know why I thought there was 30 days in July. I don't know what day it is anymore. So yeah, you're right. It is Friday. So we'll talk more about trades next week because obviously when it's a day before it, we'll see what happened and everything else like that. But yes, we did have a great series in Tampa Bay as we were talking about and everything. I don't know about that game last night. I think probably I don't know, Justin, if you said it exactly right. I think that was probably the best game that they've played and been able to come out with a win in years. And I was talking to Deech about it before we started recording. It's the first time that they've come back being down twice since 2016. And we all know what happened in that year, 2016, 23-10, and then all went downhill. So facing Tampa was a little bit more impressive because they also got all of their starting pitchers out before the fourth inning ended. I don't know if you guys heard that stat last night, but all three of the starters didn't last. And that's a big thing when you can go out there and watching these guys take at bats and watching them be able to do this, or even like you said, them going down 4-0 with Cannon. I was watching, I was live for NXT and I was like, oh, here we go. And literally I took a break and I came back and it was 4-4. I was like, okay. And it just you really never know with this team right now. And I said it, this is the worst time for an off day because now we don't know what's going to happen. And, got to go face the Cubs. So, shall be interesting. But they did score 22 more runs during the Tampa Bay series. They completely not destroyed the two games they did win. They did win 8-3 and then 11-9. And obviously, like I said, then just being able to do that and score 11 runs. And how many times have we seen them score 10 runs, 10, 11 runs, and the next day they score 1 run? It's been nice to see them be able to score consistently. So I'm very interested to see how and they do against the Northsiders because we all know how good the Cubs are right now. The Cubs are, what are they, the second best team now, or the Brewers still the best team in the? No,
They're a game. Yeah, I mean the Cubs and Phillies as a whole. That's why I kind of said that I did the pump the brakes thing at the top. It was a really good week, but the next games could kind of remind you where they're actually at in terms of. But that doesn't mean don't enjoy it. Well, you have it. I mean, it's savor the wins. They lost more games than any team ever last season. So,
well, we didn't get our 37th win until September 20th something last year. So, I'm going to take it for everything we got. And before we do move on and everything, I do want to say these numbers for this week because they were first and second in most of them. They had 45 hits, 18 doubles, 35 runs. I think this was actually before the 2 games. So it's probably better. 302 average, 377 on base, 544 slugging, and then and then what's the OPS? It's 921. So those numbers in those 5 days before the loss on Wednesday or Tuesday and then yesterday, I mean that's just insane for a week of baseball day, everything. But we do move on and we go and we have a whole nother 2 series to go, and they're 2 against the National League. First, as we were talking about, they go and face those Chicago Cubs on the north side or on the south side this time. We didn't win any in the first series, did we? I forgot.
No, they swept us.
That's what I thought. So it's time to get some revenges. I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed listening to Dan Plesac. He said coming out for blood yesterday, so that's what we need to continue to do. Because won't we be wearing the jerseys tomorrow too? Isn't it Friday Night Lights, or are they not doing that because it's the crosstown?
I would assume they'll wear them.
I would, yeah, right. So
I really hope they don't, but they will.
he said, "I hope they don't." Justin, are you going to any of the games?
No, no.
So we do have Adrian Hauser against Shote. How do you say his name, Justin?
Imanaga.
Yeah, that guy. We have on Saturday, we got Cade Horton against Aaron Savali. And then on Sunday, we have.
I don't think the Cubs announced their starter yet.
Yeah, no, they have not. And then Sean Burke will be pitching for us, and we'll have to see who the Cubs, maybe a bullpen day or something like that. But do you guys think that we're going to have better luck? And do you think we can use the momentum from Pittsburgh and Tampa and bring it home, Chicago? Justin, what do you think about this series, and how do you feel about it? And yeah,
I mean, I love the way they've been swinging. Hauser's been great. Obviously, I don't know if I love their matchup against Imanaga, just because it doesn't. He's a very crafty pitcher, and I don't know if they're to that level yet where they can light a guy like that up. What you want to do, obviously, there's a blueprint any series to get to the bullpen early in the first game. My worry is that they're not going to, and that they let Imanaga go 6-7 innings tomorrow night, and then all of a sudden, the bullpen for the Cubs is ready to go for what might be, maybe a tighter game the next couple days. I think they can push one across at home. I just, but again, maybe it's the right time. The Cubs lost a series at home to the Royals, and the Sox are playing their best ball of the year. So maybe they come out and kick their ass. But when you look at those lineups stacked up against each other going into the series, this will be said for both the Cubs series and the Phillies series. It's very hard to sell yourself on any wins. But I mean, shit, maybe. I didn't think they would. During the All-Star break, I wasn't sitting there thinking like, oh, they'll take 2 of 3 in Tampa next week. But they caught Tampa at the right time too, so maybe it's the same deal with the Cubs.
Yeah, I agree, and they always like to say it doesn't matter who you play, it matters when you play them. So I mean, Sox are on the this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. And again, that's why I always get my hopes very low with this, because at this point, you two are, other than you two and the people I talk to on X, I have no Sox fans. So it's all Cubs fans in my life, or Red Sox fans and everything. So when the Sox and Cubs play, it's just not fun. So that's like, if they could just get one and they could just do whatever. And I kind of hope it is Hauser, just because then that kind of helps his value and everything else. And, but
tomorrow night's a huge start, because you can see him go out against, contenders can see him go out against the playoff lineup. Like I even said earlier, maybe it's an audition for him to, go across town.
You get traded to the Cubs. Just go. He pitches tomorrow, beats them, and then you can go to the Cubs and then pitch when you go to the North Side. Because somebody last week was like, "What if the Sox traded him to the Cubs and then they faced him?" I was like, "Be such a." It would be that Adrian Hauser would go out there, pitch 8 innings, and we'd score no runs. So trade him after. But yeah, so I'm gonna agree.
Each, I wanted to ask you what you thought about, just because we're on that, and if they have to do that, then they have to backfill the rotation, about a Eric Fetty reunion. Because I've seen it out there.
Yeah.
Fetty.
Yeah. Eric Fetty. You mean that guy we traded for the worst player ever, Mr. Miguel Vargas? I know he's not doing as great as he was, but I mean, I'll take Vargas all day. That's funny. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Fetty cheap, I think it depends how many. Like, if you're moving Savali and Hauser at the deadline, then I would be 100% on Eric Fetty, because I feel like Bannister worked with him and he was good. And wasn't he somewhat solid with the Cardinals up until recently?
He had an all right start to the year. I mean, he's been awful recently. But your first point, they knew how to get the good out of him here. And it might end up being the same way with Hauser. I don't know about Savali's value, but I wouldn't be opposed. Someone's going to have to eat innings. I expect them fully to move Hauser. And obviously, and I know this is a talking point later, like they're clearly, they're being very cautious with Shane Smith's innings. So Yeah, I wouldn't hate it at all. I wanted to see where you were at on it. I mean, fuck it. I mean, why not? If he comes here and sucks, they can just dump him, or it doesn't matter.
I just feel like you could get more out of him than like hoping Thor all of a sudden can fucking pitch, or bring up Clevenger and let the fan base sit there and stew about it for fucking a month.
How funny would that have that week, and they have fans as happy as they've been ever in the past however many 3 years, and they
Here
fucking
we go. We trade
Hauser.
How about we just trade Hauser and we get who's the other one you just said? Hauser and who else? Savali, and we just bring up Clevenger and
I just don't know how people can take it so personal. Like, it's not Jerry Reinsdorf being like, I specifically like am doing this against your will.
There are a lot of people who are just way too. I mean, their brains are broken, frankly. I mean, I don't want to see him start another game for the White Sox, but I'm not gonna, have a meltdown on Twitter.com over it.
You mean X?
No. I just see that Martin Perez was throwing too, though.
He is.
They said he should. I think they said end of August or something is when he's hoping he could be back. So I don't know. Maybe if Savali does well enough, maybe a team just takes Savali as like a long relief, because you do sometimes need that in the playoffs, depending on what happens, or at least to close out the season, rest some of your starters. But I would assume if they're willing to spend money on Benintendi or Roberts' contract to move them, here, take half of what Savali's owned. You can fucking have them. Give us a prospect.
Yeah. You can never have enough pitching.
Gotta love that.
But I don't know if he's kind of been. I mean, fuck it. Imagine you were a fan of a contender, and they wanted their move was get Andrew Benintendi and Aaron Savali and take on part of those contracts too. I mean, that would be a pretty underwhelming deadline.
It'd be like a Rick Hahn deadline.
Yeah, I mean,
Cesar Hernandez and shit like that.
Yeah, seriously.
I looked him up last week. I don't know why. I forgot what I was doing. He's not even in baseball anymore. He's like in like a different country. I was like, I can't, because that was the year we got him, and wasn't it Craig Kimbrell too? We got Kimbrell too. Gotta love it. So.
Oh well, no, they got was Tepera a deadline move?
Yeah, that's right.
He was really good. He was a lot better than Kimbrell.
He was. He ended up. I think at one point they tried to put him the closer, and he was the setup guy. He just couldn't. Like they always say, it's different to get those last 3 outs in the game.
He was a stud though.
I like it a lot.
Just gotta get outs wherever you can get them, and that's and that's been the big thing too with like this. Like they gave up a lot of runs last night, but I mean, we've seen it. I mean, you talked about it, Deech, last week, where they score runs. They hit the ball go far, team go far. This pitching is good enough to be able to keep us we get 5-6 runs. I feel like we could win a lot of games like we had this past week, and obviously scoring 10 and, this and that, and Pittsburgh offense wasn't the greatest, but it's doable. And it goes out there, and you mentioned Shane Smith. Do you guys think he is honestly like really hurt, or is this like ghost IL stint, and just to give him some time to catch up and save some innings? Because obviously, like you said, we're probably going to be on an inning limit with him. And you mentioned it too, Deech. The reason why he probably went those innings too when he did was because of the All-Star game and everything. And he got hurt in what was it, warm-ups or something like that? They said he twisted it. Or...
He said that he tweaked his ankle on Thursday, which is, I mean, the one of 2 days on the MLB calendar that nobody's playing. I mean, I don't buy it for a second. I don't care that they're doing it. I think it's the right thing to do. Slow him down a little bit and let him catch his breath with just the absolute unprecedented workload for him. Is he fatigued? Like, could he use the time? Sure. But I don't think that there was actually an ankle injury. I don't know if that's just tinfoil hat, but I don't know. He pitched in the All-Star game 2 days before.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, even when they asked him about it, he was like, yeah, it's kind of – but, I mean, he pointed all the focus at, well, it'll be good because later on in the year I'll have had this like bit of rest, which will help me push even further into the season. So I mean,
Perfect.
yeah. So either way, it's kind of just whatever. The offense, though, Tino, I don't know. There needs to be like a good like 3 week span of them showing they can put up runs relatively consistent before I buy into it. I don't know. Because you said like what, 18 doubles or
Yeah.
something like that
Yeah, and they scored
over the
49
last 2 series.
total. So in the first 6 games, they've scored 49 runs.
Yeah, but we just saw a whole half of a season where they did not do this at all. I don't know. It's hard. It's interesting because I hope they can continue on this path, but it kind of just proves if you added some power bats to what you already have, that's really what's lacking at this point. Because when they don't score, it's because the power shuts off of the few guys that are capable of it. So
Yeah, that's a very good point and everything. And it does help. I do have this stat right here. Rookies, Colston Montgomery and Kyle Teal, they have and are the first White Sox players to record their first major league home runs back-to-back games since Chris Getz and Gordon Beckham in 2009 against the Reds. So, I think that's been also the biggest thing too. Is like,
Let's hope
yes,
they have better careers than they did.
I don't know. Getz is sitting pretty high and mighty now as a GM.
he's loving life right now.
They're both legends in the organization. Don't get me wrong, but also at the same time, two massive busts.
Yeah.
So
I love Gordon.
I saw that as Twitter refreshed itself, and I just so. But it's been fun to watch these guys go out there. But Deech, as you said, seeing it consistently, we've seen it so inconsistently and everything. That's why this series for the Cubs, I'm not expecting them to go out there and sweep the Cubs, but if they can go out there and score some runs, still compete and have a good game and keep that Friday night whatever the hell mojo they got going on right now, where they're like 11-5 on Fridays. Keep doing that and just if they can do that and have a good series against the Cubs, I will continue to just, because when baseball's fun, I don't know why, it just makes things a lot better, at least for me. I don't know. I just love watching. And like I said earlier, the Sox have 37 wins now, and they didn't get their 37th win until September of last year. I think at this time they were like 28, and we were waiting for them to beat the freaking Athletics in August. So, I mean, but it doesn't get easier after the Cubs. And Deech, did you say how many games they were going to win against the Cubs? Try to.
They will win at least one, I'll go with. Can't really be much more optimistic than that, though. I mean, the Cubs lineup is just nasty. And we saw in the series at Wrigley, they had a few errors or missed throws or whatever, and it just like imploded after that. It's that
Friday game that I was at, that was exactly what happened. You had the yeah, you just can't give teams like that extra outs when they have pop top to bottom in that order and they just have good mojo. Yeah,
the Sox did against Pittsburgh, and that's what they need to like. That's what I want. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's exactly like what they did. The Sox have been taking advantage of every mistake, everything. Every time somebody gets on base, they find a way to get them in, get them over. Like yesterday, it was like every single time somebody came up, and I think everybody got at least one hit yesterday that played. So that was enough. That because I think Chase was the last one because they kept talking about it because it was his birthday or whatever. But I mean, that's been the thing too. So. They need to just,
I do have a separate question, kind of. I just kind of popped in my head. Have you noticed this year, and I don't know how much you pay attention, the amount of content that they're getting like in the clubhouse or with players and stuff like that seems like it's a lot more than previous years. And I truly wonder if this is really the first year, even though they sat and ran their mouth about culture for however many fucking years prior to this, that there's actually a group of guys that are bonding and like get along and are in it more for obviously every baseball player is somewhat in it for themselves, but it seemed like everyone in the previous like core and stuff just turned it into all about them. I feel like all these guys get along with each other and it just seems a lot more friendly than previous year, which will help in certain instances like this whole little 5-1 this past week. If it's a team where you all don't like each other, you're not winning those games.
And I agree with you on that too because you can even see it like when they won against freaking when they had the walk-off with Talkman where he had the little blooper when Vassell is like fake punching him and stuff like that, or seeing Teal run around the bases or jump on Montgomery when Cole. It seems like all of them get along, and they've even talked about it like on their off days. They're hanging out, they're going to this, they're doing that, they're walking around Chicago, and I mean, like you said, that's the way. And they tried to do Friday night access last year or 2 years ago. No way in hell they were gonna ever be able to do that because the guys just would not have been able to. Even the third base coach is entertaining, and they all seem like they got their own little personalities. They all got their own things, and as bad as it's been, it seems like these guys all just enjoy playing with each other. And I think that also helps with them growing up and being in Charlotte and being in Kannapolis and Winston-Salem and all of that where they've been. They've all kind of grown up and played with each other. And, like, you know, especially Brooks Baldwin going up and down in AAA. I feel like he's played with everybody at this point. So, you know, we will have to see, huh?
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned Vassell. He's been touted as like a culture guy and a glue guy in the clubhouse and just someone that everyone enjoys being around. And yeah, I mean, it's been said a million times in a million different ways, but they have guys who actually like playing baseball. The last core that, you know, they didn't give a shit. They're professional athletes. And when you have that, it's just naturally more of a, I mean, I've been clamoring on this for the past couple of years, how I want, I mean, it looks stupid now because they suck, but like Baltimore, like, dudes who are ball players and like going out there and being with each other every day. And so, Deej, I think that the original point is spot on. That yes, I don't think that they could have gotten all this behind the scenes stuff the past couple of years because I don't think that they had a true clubhouse culture. So it's helping. It that gets you at least a couple more wins a year, or at the very least makes you more. It makes it easier to watch for the fans when you can tell that the guys like each other and are battling. I don't know how much of that is a credit to Venable. I said on this like a month ago that I'm still probably 2 years away from developing a real opinion on him because he needs to be given. You know, any manager can work up with a crappy team, but they fight. You know, like Rick Renneria. So you wait and see until he has a team he can actually win. And then I'll start analyzing his decisions. But at the very least, the clubhouse culture seems like it's in a really good spot.
Vassell has like a little Batman mask he wears. Like they showed on the one video he like popped out of like the hallway in the dugout, and you just see him like wearing the Batman mask, and then he like quit. Or yeah, it just seems like even that Barstool podcast that you mentioned to me, I watched that. They all just seem like chill.
Yeah, I listened to that and the show the live show they did when they were at Barstool, and like very just regular dudes, and I just think that that's kind of the vibe you need. No prima donnas or anything like that. I mean, like, yeah.
And all the guys are so young too. Like they're all 24. Like Chase just turned 24 years old yesterday. And yes, I know, like whatever, but like, I mean, these guys are still young and gonna have a long, hopefully, careers and them being able to go out and do this. And I think this is like the thing where like Venable helps with like, like this is kind of like, and I'm not saying like it's the guy we needed with like the other ones, but like I feel like if they would have got somebody like a Tony La Russa again, this kind of maybe would have like, that's where I think Will kind of helps because he understands it. And like even seeing Grady still, like I kind of forgot Grady Sizemore is still like a coach and something. And he was talking to Venable and Tampa Bay, and I was like, he's got so much help from these guys that actually know what they seem like they know what they're doing. Maybe besides Ethan Katz because he still gives me that PTSD, but
And you actually see guys watching the iPads in the dugout now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I know that was like a public noted thing that like they weren't doing that and whatever, and they're the only team that wasn't. But like, it's nice. It's refreshing. It's when you watch other major league teams who aren't the White Sox, you start to notice a little shit that they weren't doing. And now it seems like they're kind of catching up on a lot of that. So.
And when when MLB's talking about it on MLB, it's a good thing again because we've been in the bad news lately. So it doesn't get easy after we play the Cubbies. We go and they bring over Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and the Philadelphia Phillies. Last time I went to a Phillies game, they scored 8 runs in the first inning, and it was over after James Shield made his debut after we traded away Francisco Tatis Jr. So I want to get your opinion, Justin, because you weren't here last week. What did you think about like the home run derby, the way or the ending of the All-Star game, home run derby swing off and everything?
Oh, I thought that was great for what it was. I mean, for a game that doesn't count, what I thought it was cool. I mean, it sucks that so many of the guys had already left, and so you ended up with what like Aranda, that dude on Tampa Bay, swinging for the AL, which is fine. You know, they had to get him in the game somehow.
Yeah.
But so that was anticlimactic that it was him. But I thought that was the idea was really cool. And I mean, the home run derby presentation broadcast sucked, but the All-Star game is still great. And there's not another pro sports league that can say that. So
I just want to get your opinion about the swing off because obviously Schwarber went up there and put 3 for 3 up there and hit 3 home runs, and now he's coming to Chicago. We know how much he loves himself from Chicago. So I don't know how to feel about this.
Some people were saying, though, instead of extra innings, would you just do that for regular season games I said,
yeah, we talked about
postseason, absolutely not. You can't end up. I mean, that's like in hockey. If you were to just do a shootout in like the stand,
have shootouts in the playoffs in hockey. So no, I don't even want this in the regular season.
I think it's cool for the All-Star game. Is pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's the biggest thing with it. But yeah, Phillies, man, I'm not excited, and they've always been good, and you know, so I'm not expecting too much of this. And this is another one where I hope that they can just get one win against them, and you know, it is what it is, and maybe somehow play them at the right time, something happens, and we squeak another one. But I don't know. So I'm gonna say they take one against Philly, and me and Deech are supposed to go to one of them. We'll see what happens because my tickets disappeared on Ticketmaster. I have to call the White Sox tomorrow. But hopefully it's that one. But Deech, what do you think about the Phillies series, and how many home runs is Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber going to hit?
Our pitching isn't. I don't know. We don't really get lit up that much. I mean, if some guy has an off day, he'll get lit up like Cannon did. Like gave up the 2 home run. I don't know. It just doesn't. And there's certain like star players on teams that they seem to like figure out a game plan for and just like Devers, for example. They completely shut Rafael Devers down when they played him.
Well, shit, they'd already seen him twice with Boston too. I would hope by the time he came.
No, but even with Boston, I don't.
No,
I
know.
It's like
being funny, but yeah.
So I don't know. I can't say any of their stars are going to go off because I mean. They seem to stop. What pisses me off is it'll be the most random guy in the lineup that'll go yard, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Dude, they had like multiple days in a row a couple weeks ago, starting with Myers in Houston, where the 9-hitter was hitting home runs. It happened in the Toronto series right before the break when they were at home. So yeah, you're exactly right.
It's always the 9-hitter for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't understand why. So, Deech, how many wins do you think we get against Phillies?
I will say 2 because I'm more confident that they could pull it off against Philly than the Cubs. The Cubs lineup, like I really cannot get over it. Even PCA, everyone shits all over him. The dude is pretty much probably not as much of like a pure just like athlete as Robert, but everyone acting like Robert's better than him. I don't know. PCA.
Everyone.
There's a lot of people on Twitter who it's solely because it's like the White Sox bias where you can't admit like defeat because it's.
Got to get out.
I mean, PCA is
talking about
a
guy who'd be the NL MVP frontrunner if Shohei Ohtani didn't exist, and a guy who talks about if they can up against a guy we're debating if they can get a flyer prospect for.
I mean, when you say it like that, I mean, and that's the thing. You just got to, like, that's the one thing I've learned because I hate, like, there's teams I hate the Packers. I hate this and that. But at some point, you just got to respect, like, some of these guys that are just good, like the PCAs, the Kyle Tuckers, the freaking, all of them. Like, they're really good. They're just a really good team up and down. They got every single thing that I say it all the time. And I say it when I'm watching, like, wrestling and stuff. And Cubs fans and people make comments. I wish the Sox had the lineup the Cubs did because that's what I was hoping the White Sox to be at this time. I was not hoping to have 37 wins.
Even just,
so
even just PCA's speed though, it's like the fact that he can turn a lot of doubles into triples. I mean, he just That's what we were promised with Robert. Some guy with like crazy speed, great, relatively. I mean, PCA makes some errors, but his defense still overall, I would say, is pretty fucking good.
Well, he
Rob
baseball. That's the difference between him and Robert. Robert's out
Okay.
there. He doesn't look like he could ever give a shit.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I mean, he pretty much has embodied what we thought we would get out of Robert. I mean, minimally. So
Good for the Pack, for the Cubs and the Tigers.
if he gets a day
Cubs,
off this series, I won't be upset.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, because if they, even if they split the first two, I don't think, I mean, if they split the first two and Council rolls out a Sunday lineup, there's going to be a lot of upset people, a lot of Cubs fans for sure. So
they don't need these.
Yeah, that'd be about the only way I think you get a day off of PCA is if the Cubs just kick their ass Friday and Saturday. They Council put off the gas.
I don't understand that. I don't know why teams do. Why do we put these bogus? I get guys need days off, blah blah blah. But like, why are we putting these bogus ass lineups out when you need a win, or like when you? It's just like why? Like, aren't you trying to win? Like, I get it, guys need to play, but like, come on, why is like when Joshua Palacios' ass is batting fourth? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? And that's the other thing, is watching the Sox put up a lineup that actually has Major League Baseball players and not these Joe Schmoes is kind of nice, getting used to having these guys in the lineup. Or a guy falls down and he gets back up and rubs the dirt off and he's not fucking rolling around with his leg sideways. Because,
that's very true.
Like, or like the slides, because even like sometimes when Robert slides, I'm like, please get up. I'm like this, because he's always like, and then he takes off his helmet, and then I'm just like, this motherfucker, you start limping, I swear to God. Because that's the other thing. I'm like, this guy's gonna just.
Yeah, well, they got away with that for so long, and so you have to, like Robert's the one who's left. You have to kind of beat it out of him. That,
I mean, he just
not the way it's around here.
Robert has, I've noticed over the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, you can tell his whole demeanor, he's like falling in line now. He's realized like I'm kind of the problem here, so I best
I'm the issue.
toe the line.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do with that. So, but is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I feel like we covered everything, and there's more trade talk that we'll talk about next week, obviously, because I don't know why I thought there was 30 days in July last week, or I don't know. I don't know.
I won't be on the show next week. I'll be at Lollapalooza. So
fired.
This is my last time this on here potentially. I understand I'm in the extreme minority, and all the arguments in the other direction make complete sense to me. I don't want them to trade Mike Tauchman. I really don't. Having a professional hitter like that at the top of the order.
He's batting like 280, isn't he?
Yeah. Whatever it is, I mean, it just seems like I am confident when he's at the plate. I know that they're not going anywhere. I know you can get pieces for when you're actually good, and that won't be next season when he's here. I just think that there's just something to be said about laying a foundation. And that I said this the last time I was on. It's not just a constant rotation of a rotating door of different veterans you sign every offseason. You found one that you went to the scrap heap for once and it actually worked. Have him for next year. I said the same shit about Eric Fetty last season, which in hindsight, is dumb. I'm glad they made that move, whatever. But we're talking about an everyday player now. And I know that he is slow and he can't play the outfield as well anymore, and that he's not, doesn't have like DH power. But I would like them to keep Mike Tauchman.
I just don't think you're going to get anything that would outweigh moving him. Like the value he can provide to the clubhouse exceeds any sort of return unless you're bundling him with someone else. But we don't have that many guys to. There's not a plethora of players to like play around with of like, oh, which one of our guys do you want? I mean, now you've kind of built your foundation here where I agree. He's going to be probably pretty cheap because it's his last year of arbitration. And he just goes out there and plays. It's the same thing. If they kept Benintendi, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, goes out there and plays.
Benintendi, I'd feel a little bit differently just because of the money that they owe him the next 2 seasons. If someone actually takes that contract, that's fine. I'm with you. I don't mind him. I think he gets a lot of misplaced hate from fans, and that's fine. I mean, when you sign again, I feel like this is like the 80th time on here I've said this. It's not his fault that he signed the biggest contract in team history. It's not his fault that he was Rick Hahn's last-ditch effort to save his job and that it was a signing. But he's a veteran. He's a professional. If they can find a way to move him though, and get that money for off the books the next couple of years, shit, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with that. But I'm with you. It's good to have veterans who show up and play ball. So,
and I think guys are actually starting to want to come here again. The last couple of years they've said it. They're like, we don't even want to be here. Like, even listening to the interviews with like Clint Frazier, Lance Lynn, and these other guys, everything. It seems like they all want, starting to like want to wear the Sox uniform and they want to represent the logo again after what it's been the last 3 years. And it just, he goes out there and he plays, and even like that little dribbler we had the walk off last time they played on the Friday Night Lights. Like, it's just like plays like that, or just him going out there and playing every single day to know that he's going to be at the top of the lineup is good. And it is a revenge weekend also for him, so let's see him put up a couple home runs against the Cubs.
I feel like Will Venable, because of his ties to Bochy, is more people are more willing to buy into, okay, I'll go play for Will Venable on the White Sox than fucking Pedro Grifol. Even that Clint Frazier interview, it just confirmed what we kind of already knew, but gave a little bit more detail, and you're just like, good God, it was that bad.
He was a substitute teacher. That's what you say about Dennis Allen when he coached the Saints. He's a substitute teacher. No, you're not respected, and that's no.
Don't get me started on football. To get that itch. Madden's coming out soon.
But even like Tony La Russa was not a. I feel like players respect him, but they also were aware of how old he was, where there was a lot of viewpoint of like, I'm all for like, hey, he was way better than the rest of them. I mean, yeah.
That's
I'm not discrediting that portion, but I'm just saying some players may have been like, I'm not going to go play for Grandpa over here. I mean, where you feel like with Will, it's like, okay, well, young players are going to probably go towards him. And some veterans, I would assume, it's like, all right, former player was like the co-manager or whatever, assistant manager of Bochy. They won a World Series. There's at least some credentials.
Yeah. No, I think he's well respected, much more than Grifol. But at the end of the day, the player wants to play where they're offered the most money. Which is really going to come down to actually opening the checkbook. I don't think it'll be this winter. Which is another reason to keep talking around here. It's like replace him with what, and then how many years can they be this shitty,
I mean, not wrong, man.
Better not be next year. There better continue to be this improvement. There's none of this plateauing.
No.
Like, we're an 80-win team. That was our core. Now we have to flip Noah Schultz.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck? Oh, don't even start that shit. I mean, listen, we don't. I mean, who the hell knows who's going to be traded by next Friday? We'll have to wait and see. But we'll be back here, Deech and Justin. Hopefully, Deech will be here. I'll be here next week somehow. But guys, I appreciate y'all as always coming here and hanging out and talking some White Sox baseball again. Justin, I hope you enjoy Lollapalooza, have a good time and everything. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, boss.
And then, guys, we'll be back there tomorrow on Tino's time for SmackDown as we continue our road to SummerSlam next week. Did you guys hear about the news of Hulk Hogan this morning? That's so sad.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I have not, and I know we don't like. I try to bring wrestling into this, but I mean, it's crazy to see like how many people he's actually affected, and he's obviously was at WrestleMania 1 and everything. So, just wanted to talk about that for a second because it was shocking. My friend called me and I was like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "Cause you never know if those things are real now. People put out so many fake things, and then once so
yeah, him and Ozzy in the same week, tough."
That's right. Ozzy Osbourne too, and then the one guy from the Cosby Show too. I don't know if you guys watched that ever. I kind of did, like back in the day, and you can't even watch those now because of Bill Cosby. I didn't know that either because it's just, man, you got this world sometimes. So, guys, we'll be back next Thursday. I'll be back for SmackDown. Deech, I'll let you know about the Sox game tomorrow. And guys, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. So follow all the social medias. Hit that like button. Subscribe on the road to 100 here and 4,000 over on Tino's time. Go and follow the OTM guys, the Main Event Network crew if you like wrestling. But lastly, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, turn that notification button on. And we'll see you next week back here on the Southside Boys.